Hey guys, what's going on? It's Badfish here with another episode of Gone Gaming. And if things look a little bit different than my previous episode, that's because we are not in San Pedro anymore. We're bringing it back to my first video, which is a town called Fitchburg that I'm doing more of like a basic let's play with money on. So no unlimited money, no unlimited space, just the base game starting with one tile, working our way forward. In the first episode, we did hit the first couple of milestones, so you didn't miss much. We just put down this little residential area and the industrial area that you're seeing in view, and then that little highway exit and things like that. If you want to check that video out, though, I'll leave a link above. If you want to check San Pedro out, for those of you who don't know, San Pedro is my realistic City Skylines playthrough. That one's a little bit different. It's more me detailing and building things and putting things down rather than me going in and playing the game as it's meant to be played. But if you want to check that out and get some cool ideas for things to put in your city, I can definitely link the playlist above as well. So as far as Fitchburg goes, first of all, I am recording this audio afterwards, so if it's not exactly synced up with the gameplay, I do apologize. When I did this live, I was actually doing it with my old microphone, and if you go back to some of my older videos, my old microphone was hot trash. So we're just doing a re-record using the newer microphone. So right now, you'll just see me putting down some commercial. I like to keep the commercial on the main roads. That way there's not a lot of stopping and starting. It's more people, they're going to drive down into the commercial areas. And sometimes when you put commercial in the corner of the map where some of this residential is, then you just get some wonky traffic going through the residential trying to reach the commercial. So I like keeping my commercial in the center of the city to begin with, at least. And right now I'm just extending down the roads here because we do need some more area to work with. We were kind of running low. So I tried to keep the roads kind of interesting. I changed them up a little bit. I didn't want to keep a perfect grid on this because New England towns typically don't have perfect grids. My San Pedro, I've been doing a lot of more grid work because it is supposed to be a West Coast town, and those were very planned. New England towns just kind of happen. They just kind of do whatever they want to do, and then you kind of figure it out after. Anyone who's driven in Boston knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm just kind of making them a little haphazard. I will, in the future, probably start adding a lot more curves to them, but just for the kind of city center that I'm building right now. And I don't even know if this is going to be the main city. This might end up just being like a little tertiary city or even just like a town on the edge of the map. Once we open up more squares, more tiles, we can definitely revisit that idea. I really enjoy having things kind of spread out when I play the base game. I don't know why. I like making like little towns and then having like a big city rather than like one huge city that sprawls the map. But who knows? We'll see where this grows. We'll see what people think about it, what people want to do, and we'll go from there. So I am going to add a little bit more commercial. I'm trying to keep it kind of in that same tight spot. So this is going to kind of be a main road too. So our main roads kind of fork out right and left at different sides and then kind of stretch out, and I want them to be longer than the residential road. So I keep my residential roads pretty short and snappy to begin with, and the commercial roads I want to kind of branch out long. So that way those are kind of your main arterial roads throughout the city to begin with. And I think it looks pretty good. I like the layout, honestly. Looking at it now, I do like that layout. I like having kind of those dead-end neighborhoods on top, having it kind of curve around. And then we do have like our education and our different, like our police and fire is also in the middle here, kind of where the cursor is right now. So that's going to be the kind of the main town center for now. I think right where I'm zooming in right now, this is going to end up being like a central part of town. I'll probably detail it later on. I can definitely, so in San Pedro, if you don't know, I do all of my detailing in the videos. This one, I might just do some detailing outside the videos and then show you what I accomplished in the next episode. Just so that way, they're not too similar and we can focus more on playing the game in this one, earning money and all that good stuff. But if you guys do want to see me detail this as well, because it will be obviously different from my other series since there are, such completely different biomes, let me know. So, just let me know if that's something you want to look at. And right now we're just looking at these roads here. I'm realizing, I remembered when I was playing that these were going to be my arterial roads, and if you see, we do have a lot of intersections kind of on top of each other. So that's what I was looking at back there. I'll probably change that up at some point just to make it a little bit more easy for people to drive through the town, because when you have intersections like right there back to back, and there's a couple more that are kind of like that, it can get things a little wonky. I mean, this intersection though, the reason I'm leaving it in for now is all this connects to is it's just a little side road that leads up to the school, so it's not going to have like an absolute load of traffic. But typically when you see intersections like that, you want to break them up and not have them right on top of each other when it's an arterial road. It doesn't matter as much for residential roads. Residential roads, you can just kind of go for it and see what happens. But definitely for arterial roads, you want less intersections just to keep that traffic. It'll help you out in the late game. It won't make much of a difference in the base game, but it'll definitely help you out in the late game. And another design decision I did make too was to use only 2-lane roads to begin with. I usually do this. That's simply because 2-lane roads don't get stoplights or anything, so the traffic can really just flow through. And until you have 10,000, 15,000 people, just letting cars flow through is pretty great. It keeps traffic right around 85, 86, 87 if you have TMPE on. You can definitely change it up later too. It's not hard to change those all to 4-lane or 6-lane roads later on. But to begin with, I do like just keeping them as 2 lanes. So now we're just looking at some of the different assets we have. So these are the New England Townhouse packs. I think they look awesome. They are, you're going to have some repeating right now just because there's not a ton of them. But honestly, living in New England, I can tell you that so many buildings look exactly alike and they're all on top of each other. Apparently, colonial British people just didn't want to change up. They had one house and they were like, yep, that's the house. So I don't really think it breaks the realism up too much by having a lot of similar houses. I will probably change up some of them in more of the central areas just so they kind of flow together a little bit better. And then as far as the commercial areas go, I'll probably edit and detail those at some point as well. For now though, just letting it grow the way the city grows naturally in the game is looking fine for me. And now we're just looking at what our next milestone is going to be. So it's going to be the high school milestone and the park milestone, which is going to be huge for us. That allows us to do some landscaping. It allows us to get a lot of the house levels up because having more leisure around definitely you'll start hearing those popping noises of the thumbs up going and people being able to upgrade their houses. So at this point, I just wanted to expand the road network down and out a little bit more. That way we have some more zoning potential for residential and things like that. So just continuing, I like to use the same intersection. So I have those 2 roads linking. Again, that's just for traffic purposes. I don't want the traffic to get wild. And this is actually, my apologies, this isn't going to be residential. This is going to be where the high school is going to sit. So I'm putting the dirt roads down to add some parks later on for the high school and be able to kind of flesh it out. So that's another thing I try to do when playing the game is look at the milestones, see what's coming. And if you don't know what to do right now, if you're just waiting for things to grow, start planning out areas for your buildings. So for my high school here, I'm just putting down another parking lot for people since there is going to be a lot of people going there for schooling. And then that dirt road, and that's going to allow me to add some parks. So I might add, I do have a baseball field asset I might add sometime, but for now I'm just going to use the base game park. So maybe a tennis court or a basketball court might be a good thing to put in there. So that's the plan. And I believe in just a second here, we will have that milestone pop off. Yeah, we're right on top of it right now. So that'll go in just a second. We'll be able to place down the high school. I believe I use the base game high school. I have a couple different high school assets as well. And right now you're just seeing me cleaning up the commercial a little bit using Move It to get things moved around. I don't like having a ton of repeating buildings with commercial right on top of each other. So there was 3 Shell gas stations, one after another, and that was just too much. And then right now I'm just showing off Move It a little bit and what you can do with it. So you can either grab certain buildings or grab a whole slew of things. That's the reason I kept that mod. It's so hard to not utilize it for me because it's so essential to how I play the game. Being able to have Move It go and make these kind of more unique spaces, especially if you watch like my last couple episodes of San Pedro with commercial spaces. Move It is a godsend. It allows you to flip buildings around so they're not all front to back, and create cool spaces for parking and things like that. So we did just hit our milestone. At this point, we're going to go ahead and plop in the high school. So for the high school, I do have a couple options, but I did just want to do the base game one because I am trying to use base assets as much as possible. Really, the only reason I'm using the commercial and low density residential buildings I'm using is just to add a theme to what we're building. So now you're just going to see me detail this slightly. So I'm just adding in some concrete in between, so that way it connects a little bit better to each other. There's not that weird gap of grass between the high school and the parking lot. And then of course just adding water. I'm actually very impressed that I have the patience to keep my pipes under the road network in this one. I haven't been doing that in my other games lately because I'm just throwing down pipes willy-nilly and I want things covered. But I do like putting them under, when I have the patience to, under the roads, just because that's realistic. That's where your pipe system generally is in real life. But it is also such a pain to do it under the roads. It gets very tedious because no one sees it until you open that screen. You don't even see it until you open that screen. So what's the point? I don't know. Maybe it's my OCD. I don't know. So now I'm trying to think about what we want to do with the industrial area. I think eventually we're going to spread it out and put it closer to the highway back in there so we can have some more residential on this side and commercial and be able to separate it from the industrial so you don't get all those sick people happening. And we're probably going to change around that highway exit too. I've gotten much better with my highway exits. That's a very simple one, and I already see a ton of issues cropping up with it once we get more traffic coming in. So I will definitely probably change that around, maybe make it like a trumpet intersection or something like that. Or if there's any intersections you guys really like to make or want to see made, let me know and I can do my best. Highways are not my forte in this game. I don't think they ever will be. My forte is definitely more just putting down buildings and detailing, but I can certainly give it a crack if that's something you guys be interested in. And I just see these pipes falling apart at some point. If I continue this series, I can almost guarantee you those pipes will fall apart at some point. But very impressed for now, very impressed. So now just plopping in some more residential to start growing towards that last milestone. Or well, not the last milestone, but the last milestone for this episode. And that is the 4th milestone. So I believe that's when you get public transport starting to open. So that could be cool. So also just looking at what's going on with the sewage. I mean, that's super dark. It's like not even brown. I don't know what the people in this city are eating. Like if they're just straight up drinking blue food dye all the time. But it's probably just from the map theme we're using, but I was looking at that and I was like, that doesn't even look like sewage. That looks like someone's literally pumping food dye into the water source. But hey, I mean, if it means they're healthy, and honestly, it's better than looking at a bunch of poop in your lake or river, whatever this is. I forget if that's a river or lake. So now just going through, waiting for this stuff to grow up. We do need more commercial. I think we're going to try to plop it right down that arterial road. I'm trying to keep that. And it's kind of nice to do it this way too, because it shows you where your main roads should be. Although now that I'm looking at it, one of them is not getting the kind of traffic I want. So I might flip this around and take out a couple of the secondary roads. And now at this point, we're just adding some parks. So like I said, I wanted to put like a tennis court or a basketball court over here for the high school. So I just plopped that in. I'll detail that more a little bit just because it looks pretty barren right now because it's just like an empty dirt road. And then, hey, here's a tennis court. So I'll probably put some trees and stuff in there as well. I think next episode for this series, we're definitely going to work on some landscaping. I think that's definitely going to be a necessity. just because, especially with the map we're using, you'd expect there to be more trees and more green space. So that's what I want to aim to do, is pop some more green space down, add some more trees to this map as well. Because I have a couple more mods on, but they're all cosmetic, so don't hate me too much, guys, for putting mods in this one. But I do have unlimited tree mod, so that way I can put down as many trees as I would like, to my heart's content. So I really enjoy trees. We'll probably put a solid pine forest through some of this stuff at some point. I'm excited to be able to use different trees too, because I've just been using palm trees and like gum trees and like little shrubby bushes for my other playthrough, because it's in the desert. So it's going to be cool to use like oaks and live trees. And now I just wanted to show off again some more of these assets. So the lower level ones are kind of dinged up, kind of crappy, have paint chipped off. The nicer ones have those like cool cornices and towers, and I think even some of them have like bay windows and things like that. So it's nice that it changes around in that way. So now we're just pretty much waiting on things to build up to get to our next level. We are definitely going to need more commercial again, so at some point I will plop that in, and then that will allow us to get the demand up for residential as well, because once you have more businesses, then more people want to move in to work. So we'll put these down. I think we're already maxed out with our industrial area on the other side. We're going to check that out in a minute, just because we do have that industrial demand. Yeah, it looks pretty maxed out. There's like 1 or 2 spaces still open, so we'll probably expand that in just a little bit, because that's going to be a necessity. And I want to keep it where it's easy to come in and out of the industrial. Otherwise, you can get super packed up in there. So you want to be able to kind of have it where they can just drive in and out of the industrial. So if you look at the bottom right of the screen, that industrial is essentially a roundabout if you look at it. It's a square, weird, mallet-shaped roundabout, but technically still a roundabout with a cut-through. So you want to be able to keep traffic moving through your industrial areas. So now we're just waiting. We're looking at all the kids at school. They're looking good, getting their education so they can work in nicer buildings. And I will just start adding down a few trees here and there. I am going to use not the base trees, because I have used so many base trees and I just want to change. So just making a little bit of green space next to the high school. I might actually take those out at some point and put like a little plaza over there, just to give the students somewhere to hang out. And I definitely think the middle of this road I will probably end up changing up at some point. And I do put this like dark grass there too, to make it look a little nicer. Maybe even put like a track and field area over there. I wonder if there's, I mean, I have the college ones. I don't know if there's one for the high school or not in the base game. I don't think there is. I think I do have one. I'd have like a nice little track and field we could put in there. But if you guys really don't want to see any kind of assets or mods in this, let me know. I totally understand that. I know people love watching vanilla playthroughs, so I could even, delete this one and start a pure vanilla playthrough. That's obviously not my forte, but it's definitely something I'd be interested in if you guys are interested in it. And then right now, I'm just going down and adding the rest of kind of this residential area that we can build out. I know I do already have the next tile unlocked, but I try to wait to do that, I suppose. I try to fill out the tile I'm working in as much as I can, or as much as I would like to. Obviously, you're going to want to have some tiles not like packed to the gills with stuff. I'm not trying to put like 1 million people in a tile. I'm not that guy. This is not that YouTube. But I do try to build it out as much as I can, just to have that like cool base start. I usually use the center tile as the main part of my city, so that's why it's more of like a high density layout too. So this might all change to high density at some point if I decide to keep this as the main city or not. And then that middle road will not be a 2-lane. If that happens, that will change immediately. But for now, I think I like the layout. With these houses too, where they're a little bit taller and narrower, you can get away with having a high density growth their high density road layout with your low density residential growth, because those buildings are a little bit bigger. With the vanilla houses, it doesn't work out as well. And like I said, I do want to change all this up, and I do want to paint concrete down in between those two roads. I made those roads parallel, but I think adding some concrete in the middle of them just to get rid of that like weird grass clipping would be good. And now we are just going to expand out the industrial area just a touch. I don't know what that was, just a touch. We're gonna expand this out, and that way we can just have a few more people coming in and out. I'm still trying to keep it pretty, easy to flow through. So if you go in one side and you want to come out the other, it's pretty easy. Not a ton of intersections, but a few. Again, that will probably change up. That will change up once we get better roads and can make different systems and things like that for the industrial area. I know some people have like super planned out industry where they have like multiple entry and exit points that all lead to the highway. I don't know if I can get that, detailed with that. I can certainly try, but that is a little bit beyond my expertise. I'm not an expert at this game. I just have fun with it. So that is something we could look at, though. I've definitely watched some playthroughs where some people make some ridiculous industrial areas that can handle an obscene amount of traffic. So if I want to challenge myself, maybe we'll try that. But right now I'm just adding the last bit of residential here just to get that all growing through. And that way we'll hit that last milestone before we get out of this video here. And we'll be able to start the next episode by probably putting down some trees and doing a little bit of landscaping and maybe even some plopping if we don't like how some of the buildings are shaping up. And then I would also assume we will probably either make like a cool park area, because I do a park life DLC, and then of course set up our first bus line to get our public transport going. I love public transport in this game. I always try to challenge myself to get as much people riding public transport as possible. That way I can keep traffic real low. I think having green roads is one of the most satisfying things, but traffic happens. We gotta combat it any way we can. So we did get Boomtown. Here we go. So we do get a couple of different transport options, a couple of roads. We do get those highway roads, so we'll definitely change our middle roads back to highways because those have just been 2 lanes for now. And then we are going to name this area. So during this part, I actually spell it incorrectly and take a minute to find the comment. But Crystal, congratulations on that first video. You were the only person that gave me a town name. So Pescadero is going to be the name of this town. Very apropos for Badfish. Pescadero, I'm into it. So if you will see me kind of freeze the screen here for a second to find the right spelling, I apologize for that. But that's just gonna about do it for this episode, guys. So this is Fitchburg. This is my little Let's Play town. I think it's pretty neat. I think the road layout's pretty neat. I think we can definitely do some cool stuff with it. I'm already looking at it and seeing some things we could do. We might raise up that highway to be able to connect the 2 sides that we have right now. Who knows? Sky's the limit. But, let me know down below what kind of things you'd like to see in this. If you have any, road layout ideas or anything for a New England city, definitely let me know there. Also, check out my other videos, my San Pedro series. I will probably have an episode up for that either tomorrow or the day after. But that's been going pretty good. I think we're going to be 10 episodes deep once the next one airs. And a lot of cool stuff there. We've built a lot of sweet things like a water reclamation plant, a casino island, tons of cool stuff there. So if you enjoyed the video, guys, leave a thumbs up. As always, my name's Badfish. This has been Gone Gaming. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.